Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Michaela. I'm a history student at the University of Southern Maine. I created this video to talk about the rise and fall of the Berlin Wall. To start things off, we will look at how Germany became divided into the German Federal Republic, commonly known as West Germany, and the German Democratic Republic, more commonly known as East Germany. On May 8, 1945, Germany surrendered to the Allied powers of the United States of America, the Soviet Union, Great Britain, and France. Germany was then occupied by the Allies and divided into 4 zones controlled by each of these powers, and each nation was in charge of its own zone. Amidst growing tension between the Soviet Union and the Western Allies, the German Federal Republic was created out of the American, British, and French zones on September 21, 1949. In retaliation of the German Federal Republic's creation of the Deutschmark, the Soviets then created the German Democratic Republic out of their occupation zone on October 7, 1949. The U.S. did not originally acknowledge the German Democratic Republic until September 4, 1974, when relations between the two territories improved. At that point, the U.S. opened diplomatic relations with the GDR in hopes of there eventually being a reunification of Germany. Between 1949 and 1961, as many as 3 million East Germans went west. The GDR was the only Soviet bloc country to experience a net decline of population in the 1950s. East Germany was losing skilled laborers necessary for growth and economic success. This mass exodus was one of the deciding factors in erecting the Berlin Wall, and it was completed under the order of Nikita Khrushchev, the premier of the Soviet Union. On August 12th into the 13th, 1961, the East Germans installed barbed wire fences along the entire border between West and East Berlin, extending beyond the city, about 96 miles in total. Months later, the barbed wire was replaced with a concrete wall, which in some places was as high as 15 feet. The wall slowed down the flow of immigration from the German Democratic Republic into the German Federal Republic to a trickle. The mayor of West Berlin, Willy Brandt, called the wall an outrageous injustice and turned to the U.S. government for assistance. Then U.S. President John F. Kennedy declined to break down the wall. However, he did vow to protect West Germany, saying, "A wall is a hell of a lot better than a war." By the 1980s, the wall had electrified fences and fortifications went 28 miles through Berlin, separating it from East Germany. About 5,000 East Germans managed to cross the Berlin Wall, 5,000 were captured by East German authorities, and 191 more were killed during their attempts to cross. Some East Germans came up with creative ways of getting across, like tunneling under the wall, or stringing cables from a house on the east to one on the west and teetering across. The guards had the authority to shoot to kill and to arrest anyone attempting to cross the wall illegally. In August 1962, 18-year-old Peter Fechter became the first victim of the wall after being shot by East German guards. British newspaper The Guardian reported the story with this description. He was hit in the back and the stomach by bullets fired by communist guards as he was on top of the 6-foot wall. He fell back into East Berlin, and his clothes, blood-soaked, lay groaning for 45 minutes. The East German police who shot him made no effort to go to his aid. The man's cries became weaker and at last stopped. His inert body was then slung over a communist policeman's shoulder and carried away like a sack of potatoes. This horrific description just shows the Soviet Union's commitments to keeping its citizens within the East German borders where they could be of use. There is a memorial stone now on that spot where Peter died that reads, "He just wanted freedom." The disparities in living conditions in East and West Germany were apparent, and over time, being separated from loved ones and having access to far less than West Germans caused an unrest amongst the citizens of East Germany, and there were widespread protests. On June 12, 1987, then President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, visited the Brandenburg Gate and gave an iconic speech with one line in particular standing out in history. "Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." On Thursday, November 9th, 1989, a press spokesman who was being pressured for information about revised travel regulations said that they would take effect immediately, right away. The news spread very quickly, and East Germans swarmed the wall's checkpoints to find out for themselves. They outnumbered border guards by many. So faced with thousands of people demanding that they open the gate, the East German guards eventually decided to let the crowds through without checks or papers. Since 1970, East Germans arriving to the Federal Republic of Germany, by whatever means, were paid a grant of 100 Deutschmarks once a year. So when the wall came down on that day in November, and the East Germans rushed through to shop in West German shops, to eat in the restaurants they previously had no access to, and to visit loved ones. Cornelia Gunter was a 29-year-old single mother working as a translator in East Germany in 1989. She had overlooked the wall from her office window for years. She remembers stepping across the border for the first time that November. She's quoted as saying, "I looked at my foot. I thought, now I'm walking on West Berlin soil. How amazing is this?" And she used her welcome money and took her 6-year-old son to buy Legos, a radio for their kitchen, and a backpack. These things were so wondrous to the East Germans who had only daydreamed about the luxuries that their neighbors were afforded. East Germans were able to use the welcome money that West Germany had provided for them and return home with many goods and a sense of hope for a unified Germany. The falling of the Berlin Wall was one of the deciding factors at the end of the Cold War. It stands out as one of the most important events in the 20th century. I do hope that you found this video informative and that you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you.